of Money, a Love Story, and this is the Money Love Story series. And I'm here interviewing my friend Bari Tessler, who's a financial therapist and founder and creator of The Art of Money. So this is a topic that's near and dear to you, Bari. Probably more than anyone else I've interviewed, actually, because you're seeped in it all the time with your clients and your work. Yeah, so I'd love to know, to start off, what did you learn about money growing up? Or if you didn't learn anything, what did you witness and kind of glean about money as you were growing up?
Ooh, I get to tell a little bit about my own story.
Yeah.
So, I grew up with entrepreneurs.
Oh,
I grew up with entrepreneurs. My dad was the main guy. My mom was, I was going to say his sidekick, but I'm by his side.
Yeah.
I didn't realize until really later that, of course, they were running it side by side, So there were not direct teachings about money that were happening in my household. I was the first child. I was the girl. I think my younger brother got some. I mean, he was saving. He had a little bank at 5 years old. That was not my experience. I was more like, ooh, can I buy some candy? Ooh, can I buy that ring from my mother? Like, I was definitely into more of generosity, but also just like I had so many ideas and passions of what I wanted and what I wanted to do and how I wanted to spend money. So I was definitely early on, that was more of my role. My brother was saving, and my sister was more of a saver too. But to come back to my parents, I just got to watch them kind of ride the waves of being an entrepreneur. Very exciting, passionate, but sometimes really anxious and really freaked out, and looking at the numbers closely, and certainly I got to see both. I got to see the excitement of being an entrepreneur and doing work that you really love, but I also got to see some of the risk and the fear and the anxiety that it goes up and down and all around. And I think I just watched that. And it really, for me, my relationship, in my 20s, I did not have a relationship with money. I chose to step more in a psycho-spiritual path.
Yep.
And so I definitely put money to the side and said, I'm going to look at every other area of my life and dig deep and find out about, my relationship to my body and health and sexuality and spirit and God and gender, all of it. And I knew early on, well, like you, I was either going to be a solid gold dancer. Was that? I'm a little older than you, so that was a very clear option.
Yes.
Solid gold dancer, in my preteens. Then I threw in businesswoman because that's what my father was. And then really as a teenager, I asked to go to my own therapy. I asked my parents to go to therapy as a 16, 17-year-old. And so I added psychotherapists to the mix pretty early on. And then now I see my work as a combination of,
it's so cool.
Dancer, movement work, businesswoman, and somatic psychotherapy. But so in my 20s, I did not have a relationship with money. I definitely put it to the side. I said it wasn't spiritual.
Right.
I didn't want to. I was too creative. I was going to be too boring.
Yeah.
Really, just the bank statements came in graduate school and they went right into the trash.
Yeah.
And, and then it really wasn't until I finished my incredible graduate degree in somatic psychology and was doing work and my school loan came due. And that was
that was the moment.
That was a big moment for me, a terrifying moment of how was I going to pay this back?
Yeah.
Really, do I have a relationship to money? What is it? This was the biggest missing piece in my entire education. And, grade school, high school, undergrad, when I was studying history and women's studies, and then even in graduate school to be a therapist, it was the topic, as you know, that was left out. So that was my catalyst. That was my wake-up call to say, it's time,
I got
baby.
this bill due, so I got to figure it out. So it was a real practical awakening.
practical awakening. And of course, I presented myself with the options of I can run away and
Yeah.
leave the country and travel and be a nomad and never come back, or I'm 28. It's time to really look at this head on and learn everything I possibly could about money management from the ground on up. All the inner work,
Yep.
all of the systems and tools. I wound up surprisingly falling in love with them, and
So cool.
that's how money became a love story.
Yeah.
That's how I formed a relationship even with this thing that we call money. So
Now, for you, when you said, you didn't think that dealing with money was spiritual, that's something that I hear a lot. I'm sure you hear it a lot as well. How did you overcome that, or what are some of the questions that people can ask themselves, or that you asked yourself to move through that possibly into a new belief system that's a little bit more supportive?
yeah, well, for me, I remember that moment of, okay, I have a master's degree in psychology. I'm working in profits. I love my work. And wait a second, I can't even buy organic food, or I can't even do the level of self-care that I know I really need in order to work with people in a really good way and hold space, and I knew I needed to take care of myself at a certain level. So that was just another moment of, wait a second, okay, really, money's not spiritual? But I need money to do self-care, And I really wanted to learn how to integrate heaven with earth. So can't everything be sacred? And can't I take all the wonderful spiritual and psycho-spiritual tools and practices that I was using in every other area of my life, and can't I apply them to my relationship to money as well? Why not? So I think it was like a moment of, wait a second, I have a ceiling above my head of how much I'm making.
Yeah.
And I want to do self-care, and I want to eat organic food, and I really want to give my work in the fullest, biggest way. But it was still it was a very low ceiling, back then. I just had glimpses of other visions, or, where my work could go, but I really could not see that far out. So it really came from that small moment. And then I just said, okay, I know there's a lot more going on here. So for me, it was just being willing to befriend money.
Yeah.
And befriend all the deep inner work of money stories, money healing, the forgiveness work, realizing that that's deep spiritual work. And then, wait a second, all these practical tools that are in the earthly human plane, let me befriend them. Let me, so that was me in my 20s. I don't talk like that anymore, but it was like, let me learn them and see. I was terrified. I didn't think I was good at math. I knew I wasn't traditionally smart. I knew I was very smart in other ways, more based on intuition and creativity. So to even be willing to step in and learn systems and tools, bookkeeping systems, it wound up actually becoming really empowering for me. And yes, very mundane practices that I could add ritual to, or sacred elements to. I like candles like you. I eat dark chocolate,
I love that. I love that we both, I didn't know that you do that. And I was talking to somebody about the financial freedom date and the concept of the financial freedom date. And they were like, oh yeah, like Bari Tessler. And they were telling me what you do. And I was like, that's so awesome. So do you want to talk a little bit about how you've created that that sacred experience and kind of some of the practical elements that come into that? Like you said, dark chocolate and some of those things. Will you share some of the inner workings of how you keep that fire lit and how you keep that relationship juicy?
Sure. There's many things. So one of them is, and I know we will share this too, is a body check-in. So it's such a simple little tool. And I love the simple ones that are really actually so profound. And so the body check-in is I will stop before a money conversation with my husband, before I'm going to go online and look at my numbers, before I'm going to sit down at the end of the month and do a money date with myself or with my honey, or my bookkeeper, and review all the numbers and see how I'm doing. So a body check-in is simply a moment to stop and pause and let myself close my eyes and check in what's going on a physical level. What are the sensations in my body? What are the feelings? Are there a few? They're all welcome, as we know, on this money spectrum, from I'm falling asleep, I'm so bored, to I'm pissed, to I'm really anxious, to, oh my God, this is really exciting. Actually, I love, the visioning part, or the dreaming, or the goal setting part, or actually some people, once they get into a bookkeeping system, they actually feel really excited, or it brings so much clarity or so much empowerment or a fuller breath, So a body check-in is, what are you feeling? Where's your breath? What are the thoughts going across your screen? And basically using it as a tool to help you gather data and information on what's your money story, what are the dynamics, what are your strengths, what are your challenges, what's really goofy. We all have what's really goofy, or we all have the shame places, as you know. So it's simply a body check and helps you center, helps you pause, but it really helps you gather information about your dynamics, all of it. So a body check-in is one of those things that I bring to all of my daily money interactions, on a daily basis. Then there's money practices, and we started talking about that. So do I need, on a daily basis, do I need to check my balances? And I do light the candles. If I'm going to sit down, when I do all my work, I sit down and I light candles. Right? And I bring the chocolate, and I maybe play some music. I had dark chocolate to everything. So.
Nice. Absolutely. It should totally go with everything.
It is. Well, it takes the edge off a little bit, but not too much. And so really 5 minutes a day, is that a money practice? Is it once a week to review everything? Is it once a month for a few hours? So everyone needs to craft their own money practice, right? I see money like you. It's one of the life gardens of our life that needs tending to and watering and attention, but not too much, not too little, not over.
Exactly, and it's a little bit different for everybody, but I think attention is that common thing. It's like you said, in your 20s, you didn't have a relationship with money, really. You just didn't relate to it, and then it was that bill that brought you to realizing, oh, I do need to put my attention on this. And then you found a way to put your attention on it in a way that felt good to you. It's really a beautiful story. And now I'd love to know, how do you have a son who's almost 5. So how do you teach him about money?
Good question. Because he's 4, just going on 5. So it's happening in really small little moments. And since he's maybe been 3, so 3 and 4, will be at the toy store, will be at Target, and he wants everything, and that's it. At that age, it's like, I want that and I want that. So pretty early on, it was very clear, like, I was not going to stop that impulse in any way. I wanted to honor what he was excited about, what he was feeling passionate about. So pretty early on, I realized, well, let's just go through the whole aisle, and you point out, what you would like, and maybe we can add it to your wish list. Cool. And so there have been times where we literally are there for an hour, and he's for half an hour.
It's so supportive and beautiful.
And that's what we do right now. We also have a little piggy bank, and we're talking about that. It's really just about, we're just heading into saving, giving, spending.
Great.
I think that's what you can do at 4 and 5 years old.
And honestly, that's what most people can handle.
Yeah.
Saving, giving, spending, and then maybe a little investing. But like much beyond that, it's like keep it just simple, right down the middle. That's beautiful. And then for yourself, you're a very like feminine, juicy woman, and we run on desire. Right? So how do you, with your money practices and being conscientious and being in integrity with your money, how do you honor those desires in you?
Yeah. So Ooh, I mean that. I mean, wow. That how do I honor my desires in me as a mama, as a mamapreneur, as the passions of my work, of my body, of sensuality, of life, of you mean in the way that I spend my money or
Yeah,
just
specifically in the lens of money. How do you like in our own way, we're all four at Target wanting everything, right? So how do you work with yourself? Do you have a Pinterest wish list? Do you what do you do to honor those desires and not squelch them? And
yeah, so it's interesting because I'm visual and yet I have not stepped onto Pinterest yet. I don't even but it's on my list because I am so visual
yeah,
and I'm not. Like for me, I'm much more kinesthetic.
yes.
So I take my desire and I walk out my door and I
Mm,
take myself on a hike.
mm,
Literally, I walk out my door up Mount Sanitas and I can walk on my door and go have my coffee or tea,
yeah.
So, but a lot of time I just walk out my door and I
Oh,
take it with me. And that's how I vision.
yeah.
And that's how I dream up. Or it happens in the bath or the showers or, it's very much inside of me
Yeah.
and I walk around and I vision and literally I download
Stuff
it.
comes.
Stuff
Absolutely.
comes.
Absolutely.
Stuff
Yeah.
comes. So, I mean, but I also will sit down with my husband every year
Mhm.
and we have a yearly money date where we take a look at the whole last year
Yeah.
and we have a really friendly competition. People sometimes have a hard time with this, but it's fun for us.
For
It's
you,
like,
yeah.
okay, how much did you make this year? How much did you make? It's really playful for us. We're always working on that because we're dual entrepreneurs and
Yeah.
we've always been pretty close, but that's changing a little bit. And the other day he was like, I'm going to kick your ass. And I'm like, because I did. This last, I kicked his ass. So I'm like, you go, honey.
Nice.
It's very playful.
Yeah.
So we do sit down and we will write out and put it in a jar.
Yeah.
All the little pieces and the visions of what we would like.
Nice.
And we do check in with that and we do keep coming back to our numbers and reviewing them. And, I mean, I also see it as, so I'm 12 years into my work and just like everyone, this is a lifelong journey. We're fine-tuning, right? Always. So I just got a brand new attorney, a brand new accountant, and I just handed over my bookkeeping after 12 years of doing it myself.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
That's a big deal.
It's a big deal.
Yeah.
It's a big deal. So, we're always fine-tuning and going to the next place. I mean, I'm starting to vision for a retreat workshop that I want to take next year. I'm starting to plant the seeds or a little weekend women's getaway.
Yeah.
And also on such a small level, like I can have lotions and flowers and toilet paper.
Oh, yeah.
Toilet paper. Like if I have a lot of toilet paper for some reason that
Oh my gosh. Mike, my fiance, he bought 50 rolls of toilet paper. Maybe you guys have that same thing in common.
that would have really excited me. So, and
It is abundant, though, I have to say. It feels really abundant having so much extra toilet paper.
yeah, I don't do that with
Right.
other things. I don't need my cabinets filled or my freezer filled, but toilet paper.
There it
So,
goes.
it's
I love
how to
it.
find the desire, in the very simple little pleasures, but also the larger visioning and seeing how far out and coming back into that. Yeah.
Beautiful. Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing just kind of where you came from and that disassociation to how you came into that loving relationship and how you keep it alive and are really in that journey. It's really beautiful to hear you speak about it. It is a very kinesthetic experience, even watching you and listening to you. So thank you so much for that.
You're welcome. I'm so happy to be a fellow colleague and kinesthetic,
Yeah.
money.
I know it's a beautiful landscape, and if you want to know more, for those of you who are listening, about Bari, please visit baritessler.com, BARITESSLER, and you can find out about her course, The Art of Money, which is a year-long course. And I've not taken it, but I have no doubt that it's spectacular. So you can find out more about that over there at BariTessler.com. And if you'd like to hear more money love stories, visit moneyalovestory.com. And when you buy my book there, Money, a Love Story, you can get access to my free course, A Course in Having Enough, where I have guest experts Barbara Stanny, Amanda Steinberg, founder of dailyworth.com, and Marianne Williamson. So thank you so much, Bari, for being here. I really appreciate it. I really appreciate it. Yeah. Lots of love to you. Bye.